what prostitution is. We have various types of prostitution. We have homosexualism, we have lesbianism, and we have heterosexuals. There are different forms of prostitution. We have the direct and we have the indirect. But before I go further, I'd like to talk a bit about the origin of prostitution. Prostitution is often described as the world's oldest profession. Prostitution, at least in the modern sense, cannot have emerged before the emergence of money. However, prostitution has been noted in bonobo chimpanzee behavior based around access to food and gifts, and also in penguins in regards to access to suitable stones for nest building. I'd like to stay a bit. Prostitution is a barbaric act that is not to be found among humans. According to this writer, as I was going through the internet, I saw this write-up. It's an act that was first found among this chimpanzee, and specifically this species of the bonobos. Therefore, I want to urge us as humans, created by God, that if peradventure, if we're in one way or another involved in this kind of act, I want to urge us this morning that it is better to desist from it. I have types of prostitution on my list. There are different types of prostitution, but I'll just talk about few that I have. The first one says sex touring prostitution. The second is bondage and discipline. The third one is transportation prostitution. The fourth one is beggars prostitution. But I'd like to dwell on the second point, that is bondage and discipline. Unfortunately, in our society today, we hardly listen to the news or watch our televisions without hearing or seeing news about rapes, about sexual harassment in our society today. Why is it so? It is because humans have embraced this barbaric act. We find out that in those days we have slaves that lives with their masters. But in our society today, we don't have slaves majorly. We have maids. And that is why I want to crave our indulgence to look out for our children today. A lot of children are being bastardized. A lot of children are being mishandled. Please, if you have a ward, if you have a child in your house, I urge you to please look after them. Take care of your girl child, take care of your male child. It is very important. What are some of the causes of this prostitution? Why do people go into prostitution? Number one cause on my list is poverty. Our society today has unfortunately swung into situations that are not pleasant to hearing or to feeling. We are going through a tunnel, and by the grace of God, we shall pass through the tunnel. Our society today is encumbered with poverty, and that is why some people go into this act that is barbaric, but it is not advisable. I'd like to say here that it is better to be satisfied with the little that you have than look elsewhere. Another cause on my list is trafficking. Like I have earlier said, some children have been trafficked, have been taken out in disguise to help them, but unfortunately they become victims of these circumstances, and they become addicted to this act. That's one of the causes of prostitution. Another one is parents overlook on the children. Like I've earlier said, that we should please look after our wives and children. They are very, very important. If we do so, our nation, our community, our country will not be going through what it is going through today. And I pray that God will help us. The effect, what does prostitution do to our community? What is the adverse effect it has on our community? Number one, it has psychological reaction. That's why most people today are full of anger, are full of resentment for themselves, their families, and even their communities because of what they have gone through. So please, I'll still go back to my statement, to the statement I made earlier, that we should look out for people. We should look out for those who are close to us. The second effect of this is psychological damage. Some people don't ever get to recover from this menace. Some people don't ever get to recover. And it is very, very disheartening. So please, let's still look out for people. The time is glaring at me, but I'll say the last point before I drop the mic. Political implications. I will find out that today, when it is time for the politicians to take up their seats, they use some people. They use those that are out there. They don't look for the ones that are fully educated. They don't look for those that are nailed. They look for those that have become victims of circumstances to use in manipulating their ways through. So please, I want to urge us this afternoon that we should look out for our community and that we should take care of those that are around us. I remain Alabito in comfort. Thank you.